There is a trade that every trader takes at some point. It has nothing to do with the market. It has everything to do with the ego. The ego trade doesn't look different from any other trade. Same setup, same entry, same position size. But the reason behind it is completely different. It isn't taken because the conditions are right. It is taken because something needs to be proved. To yourself, to the market, to nobody in particular. After a loss, the ego trade says, I need to show I was right. After a winning streak, it says, I'm too good to follow rules right now. After a long flat period, it says, something needs to happen. I need to make something happen. In every case, the decision isn't coming from your system. It is coming from your ego. And your ego has never made a good trade in its life. The dangerous thing about the ego trade is how legitimate it feels. It arrives with full justification, a pattern you recognize, a level that looks significant, a setup that is almost within your criteria. Almost. The ego trade always comes with an almost. And in the moment, the almost feels like enough. Because you're not looking for a good trade, you are looking for permission to act. And your ego is very good at finding permission. Here is the test. Before you enter, ask yourself one question. Am I taking this trade because my system says it qualifies, or because I need it to? The ego trade rarely produces a catastrophic loss on its own. That is what makes it so dangerous. It produces a small loss, or sometimes a small win. And that small win is the worst possible outcome, because it teaches your ego exactly the wrong lesson. That it can override your system and get away with it. Over time, the ego trade doesn't just cost you individual trades, it costs you your system. Because a system that gets overridden regularly stops being a system. It becomes a suggestion, and suggestions don't protect accounts. The professional trader has a different relationship with his ego, not because he doesn't have one, because he has learned to recognize when it is talking. The signal is always the same, a certainty that feels stronger than the setup deserves, a need to act that arrives before the conditions are met, a justification that sounds rational but came too quickly. When the professional feels that signal, he stops. Not forever. Just long enough to ask the question, is this my system talking, or is this my ego? If the answer is honest, the trade usually doesn't happen. And the trade that doesn't happen is sometimes the most professional decision you can make. There is one practice that makes ego trades visible before they happen. Write down your reason for every trade before you enter. Not after. Before. One sentence. Specific. Tied to your system criteria. If you cannot write that sentence clearly, the trade doesn't qualify. Not because the setup isn't there, because you cannot articulate why it is. And if you cannot articulate it, your system didn't find it. Your ego did. Do this for 30 days. The ego trades will become obvious almost immediately. Not because your writing reveals them, but because the act of writing slows you down enough to see them yourself. Your system finds trades. Your ego manufactures them. Learn to tell the difference. That is the third principle of trading mastery. Full framework in the description. I'll see you in the next trade.